Hello, everybody. We're just gonna get right into it today. I know the event is still going on, but oh, is there a bonus for killer? I don't want to play killer. I want to play survivor like I'm meant to. You know, my true calling. I'm just gonna go for survivor matches. Maybe we'll play the event for a little bit. The event is still going on. Ooh. We're gonna be playing with slippery meat because why the fuck not? And we're gonna get some clips today. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how we do. We've been live, laugh, loving this game. Oh, I did get this top on. I do like this hair for her. How much is this hair? 400. We can Loki buy the hair. Me still trying to get cosmetics, but the Stranger Things update comes out tomorrow. So I think I'm just gonna wait to buy stuff. Taking a pace. We're playing the event. Excuse me. Here we go. I'm feeling like, je ne sais. I feel like this is gonna be fine. Look at me by the fire. Wow, she's so well lit. Hi, Ada.
Let's get this done.
Hey. Hey, hey, hey. All right, enough. Move. Who do we think the killer is? Oh, it's an artist being chased. Okay. Nice, Ada. No, you can just work on it, Ada. She is chasing Claudette. Oh! Hey, Leon. Where'd you come from? The basement. Yes! Put on a show! Yes! 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 Oh, poor artist. Alright, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna let them handle that. Are they gonna do the chase? There's Leon. Doesn't know where Leon is. Oh. Oh, just grabbed her out of the locker. Oh, we're exposed. Aha! Pick him up, pick him up. She doesn't even know where I went. Leon, I'm not gonna lie to you. Claudette needs to get out. Claudette needs to get out. Okay, good. You know what? Claudette, good girl. Go, go, go. We can get them both off. Oh! That's fine. Get out of there! No, I have slippery meat. Guys, go! Don't worry, I have slippery meat. I have slippery meat. I have slippery meat. Damn, she really made it in here. I'm gonna try one more. Got a blast. Oh, never. Never. Never mind. Dude. Guys, we're just messing around, right? Like, this isn't real, is it? I'm scared. Does she come straight for me? Hanging around the shack like that is insane. I think I'm gonna just fault this. See if I can get her attention. That somebody's left that area. The way the artist is just on Claudette is crazy. Alright, I'm gonna go to Claudette now. Fuck, no. Can either of them get Claudette? Well. Claudette got removed. Where is she? I don't even see Claudette running. Oh, hi. Let me do this. Ugh, haunted ground. And I got exposed anyway. This is the first game. She's right there. Don't come this way. Claudette, run. Claudette, run. Nice, Claudette. Oh. Well, that happened. Like how many times? Come on, throw your birds now. Throw your birds now. Throw your birds. Oh yeah. He died in front of my face. Look, he literally died. Look, he literally died. Well, GG. Can't help me there, girl. Aw, GG's. You wanted it so bad. What is that? All blood points. Well, GG's to the artist. She wanted to win the game. I mean, we didn't play that very well. At all. The Ada kind of sold, to be honest.
The last thing we need, the cemetery in the fog.
I don't even need a tool. No mither. This is. Excuse me. Hmm. He before I. All right, this one's gonna be better. Oh, hey guys, hey friends. Oh, hey. All right, we said hi to our friends. I'm just gonna jump right onto a gen. They're having a concert. All right, guys, perform for me. Ba 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 ba. Thanks, guys. All right, back to the generator. Where did Nick go? It's Gunslinger. Oh no, it's Pyramid. Oh my god. Pyramid Head. La 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 la. I'm just gonna let them go. Meg, y'all can run away from that guy. I will do this generator that he thinks he covered. I'm gonna even put this down here. Excuse me. The Nick Cage really... There you go. Alright, someone's getting chased. Yes. Run! Where is this guy? I got scared. Don't come this way, don't come this way. Oh, she's looking for him. Damn, I'm still working on this generator. Alright. Oh, there he goes. Alright. With the quickness, guys. Oh, that wasn't me. Yes. Okay, illusion. GG's. Lovely. Wow, that was really fast compared to the other game. Go ahead. Go ahead, open that door. Open the door, open the door. I'm coming to you. Open it! Open it! LOL. Hey friends, I'm here! Woo! Woo! He's over there. Oh, he really doesn't want to play. She's in the oh. How could you? Bye. Excuse me. The other door's almost open. Well, that was fun.
Reminds me of a story I once read.
There you go. I got some mistletoes. Oh, I can only use them during here. Interesting. So let's just do that. Hey, Kevin! Ah, Kevin! I miss you! How are you? Welcome in, welcome in. How are you? I missed you so much. I missed you too. How are you? Happy New Year. How was your Christmas? I know right before the holidays you were going through some shit, but I hope that you're doing okay. Just working? Well, let me keep you company while you work. We're running slippery meat. Is my meat gonna be slippery? Let's find out. Happy New Year! We love slippery meat. Dude, I've been having some good luck with my meat, man. What'd you do for the New Year? Did you guys do anything fun? Did you guys drink? Did you guys party? Did you have an awesome time with your awesome friends? Have awesome shooters with your awesome friends? You were sick? Yes, I was sick for a whole week. All of last week I was sick. I had a fever last week. I had congestion. I'm just getting over it. I still have a cough. Yes. I still have a cough. But we're finally recovering. We're on the up. We're on the mend. We're trying to get my slippery meat body up. And it was good, just spent it with fam. Alright, nice. Squishy! Squishy, I'm so happy you're here. Squish, squish. Came through squishing. How are you, Squishy? Happy New Year. Welcome in. You know, just looping and booping. I'm gonna go over here. Oh, let me get some snowballs. Oh, I already have. Oh, because I'm using mistletoe. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna full send on a gem. I'm scared. Oh, it's a Myers. Did you see him? Guys, he's a Myers. Willie, come this way. Willie, won't he? Oh, he is over there. Look at Mr. Myers. The PTV tomorrow? No. Wait. What's the PTB? You finally downloaded the DVD. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't make me excited for no reason. Are you serious? Are you excited? Have you played yet? It's been 5 years. Oh, you have played. Friend, now we get to play together. Oh. Oh, he's getting bullied. Someone's throwing snowballs at him. Ah, he lost her. Come after me, Mr. Myers. You know you want to. Double pop. Zubble pop. Zubble pop. I'm gonna go over here. Oh. Down. Well. Hi, Puppet. What's up? Hi, Waleed. What's up? What's up? Hi. I'll get easier. Yes, I would love to play with you. Look, 3 gens. I don't get super hard lobbies because I play on console. Hey, Mr. Myers. Bengaki. Oh, where are you going, sir? Where'd he go? Oh, no, I'm scared. Oh, he lost me. Mr. Myers, what are you doing, sir? Let's go. Come, friend, come. Go. Go. No! I can show you how to do it. You're gonna have to show me Stranger Things chapter. Yes, I heard that's coming out. Is that what's happening tomorrow? Alright, guys. Is my meat slippery? Is my meat slippery? Guys, is my meat slippery? Not slippery. Not slippery enough. Still dry. Still so dry. Oh man, you didn't even let me try. Thank you.
Stupid hook.
I want him to come over here. Come get me. Oh, can I get a whiff in the chats? Whiff, daddy. Oh, whiff again! Whiff again for the Myers. It's okay. Pick me up, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. Let's get that DS. Oh, he is not happy. He didn't even come get me. He just left me. Oh, he went upstairs. He said, your meat's just not slippery enough. Come here. Is he still chasing you? He is still chasing you. Alright, well, I need heals. I got my DS too. That was amazing. Amazing work. I want to be cracked like you. No, I learned from the best. You're literally my teacher. What are you talking about, Kevin? Excuse me. I forgot I have resilience, so I might as well do the gen. Even though that gen was almost done up there. That's a lie. I did. I learned from you. I promise. Oh! How dare you? Alright. I'm gonna go for a hook, I guess. And try to get this solidarity value. He's on me. Michael, where are you? You're sneaky. I don't like it. Come over here. Come. Oh, he's already looking for you.
We're gonna laugh when we get out of this.
Okay, he's stalking upstairs. He's stalking the gen. You don't even know, sir. Girl, you're over there looking for us. Look, heal me now. Heal me now. Sir, why would you jump on us? Oh, whiff, papa! Bro, get out of my way, bro. Holy whiff! Oh my god, this guy is trash, mama. Whiff? Oh! Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry. Did I make you mad? Why didn't they take a hit for me is the question. Both of them. Are you done whiffing? 2 gens were nearly finished. Oh, they're on the other gen. Come save me, please. Come on, Ace, please. I need saving. Thank you. I'm gonna go this way. Go. This way. Thank you, Ace. This is a door right here, isn't it? What? I didn't even throw whatchamacallit at him. Oh, I'm gonna open this one. Dog! The no ed is, it can't be that serious. You have to go get the hook, sir. Can we even get out? No, right? Look, we have to go. We have to go. Come, come. Come, we have to go get the hook. Come! Come! No! Let me get her off the hook! Let me get her off the hook! Be nice! Come on! You're no-ed ass! Let me get her off the hook! You don't even want me to help her off the hook. GG. GGIG. Bad Myers. Bad! Bad boy. Just let me get my friend off the hook. I think you could have done that. Good job. Sky Hatch. Sometimes you just get Sky Hatch. Sometimes you just have to take a Sky Hatch, you know? And sometimes it's good enough. Guys, my meat wasn't slippery enough this game. The ace got you up. Yeah, we won't know how slippery the meat was, to be honest. Run it back, run it back. Oh, I have a better title. Was it the Chad? It was definitely the Chad. Is your meat slippery like mine? That's gonna be my new title. Is your meat slippery like mine? Tell me, riddle me this. Also, Kevin, when are we need to do this peak thing. XOXO, go piss girl. I want to do this peak thing. You guys got your Wi-Fi fixed. Now we have to play. I haven't played peak in like a month. Ah! Like a month. Teach him, Dougie. Jarkin. He's just Jarkin, guys. Haven't played him forever. I know, me neither. I don't think my slippery meat is like yours. But do you even have slippery meat, Micah? But yes, I still want to do that. I do too. We should just do a small lobby, like 10. And see how people like it. And then maybe we can make it a bigger thing. Because I could bring people along. I know people who will play peak. Hi, Micah. How's work? I fear I don't have slippery meat. Slippery meat is rare amongst us. Only a select few have the slipperiest of meat. Eating a pub sub. What's a pub sub? What the is that? A sub from Publix. Ew. That sounds gross. Not gonna lie. I made a sandwich today for lunch. It's so good. Not you. Yuck! Wait, I'm gonna make that sound better. Ooh.
Let's hit those.
Oh, it's RPD. One of my favorite places to play. La 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 la. Not you following me in Waffle streams today. Oh, it's a clown. Hey, Clowny. Oh. Sir, you're so close to me. Sir, you're too close. Get away. Ah! Get away. Get away. Get away. Here, I'll let you hook me. No one safe place. My one safe space. No, there are a few people that you have that I don't want to be in. Shady boots. No, I have slippery meat. Nice apple though. Mr. Clown. Slippery meat, slippery meat. Oh, let me try.
Stupid hook.
Vaulting down those stairs is crazy. Still, I haven't gotten rid of most of them. Ooh, whiff, daddy. Sorry, I stabbed her. Don't worry, I got you, Jane. Or no, this isn't Jane, this is Nia. I got that Sabo. Now I gotta know that I wanna know the tea. I mean, it's not tea. It's just me being shady. You'll never know. You'll never know, Micah. You're never gonna know. I'm sorry I keep stabbing you, girl. You gotta stop moving, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm just a girl. Wild. You're never gonna know. Karma. I mean, I'm not the one who got stabbed. She was, so. What? I'm already healed. He's right underneath us, isn't he? I'm gonna go unhook her, I guess, because Nia didn't want me on there. Oh, that's not even a Nia. Justin, my DMs are open for the Chiefs, man. We'll see about that one. Sometimes you just gotta keep your cards to your chest. So what? Where are you? I thought you were outside. Oh, there you are, Jane. Damn, this skill check is so fast. TMI, tell me immediately. It's not that serious. I'm just happy, Micah, that you have your own friends and I have my own friends. How about that? Hee. Oh, she's still getting chased. Clown, come up the stairs. Oh, there he is. She's gonna run right into him. That is so unfortunate. Alright, but is she gonna get hooked down there or up here? Where's this hook? Where's this hook? Where's this hook? I don't even know where this hook is. Is he coming up here? No, it's basement, right? Immediately. Take that, Kevin. Alright. Going to get her. Teammate, hey! He is already on Jane. Jesus. Hey, girl. How's it hanging? Yes. My goon emote. I'm just gonna go around healing. I mean, that's all I'm good for, right? I'm gonna go back upstairs. Hey, Fung. Can we work on a gen together? I only trust you. Alright. Fung, I need you to take a chase, girl. You're the only one without a hook. And I got Sabo value. What? Bow, bow, bow. I'm just gonna run. Full send it. Take what? Oh, he redeemed first before you, even though you were here first. Jane, what did we learn? Anyways, yeah, Kevin, you missed it. But make sure you check in, Micah. Kevin checked in. What did you do? Talked about your nasty sandwich. Alright, well, go. He's coming this way. I'm gonna hide here. Walk right past me. Bye. Got a blast. I'm gonna go get Hook. Well, you know, sometimes it pays to be me. The nasty sandwich into the evil laugh. Guys, I'm just shady. It's all fun. It's all fun. Like, I didn't say anything about Micah, just his sandwich, you know? Like, ew. Sandwich from Publix. It's like white refrigerator. I'm just gonna go around healing people. That's all I'm worth. This match. You don't know what you're missing out on? Well, I made my own sandwich. I know, huh? We have to laugh. I made my own sandwich today. It was a pulled beef or shredded beef with Swiss cheese and balsamic dressing, some lettuce, and some potatoes. Beat that. Jane is getting chased. Come on, break it, break it, break it, break it. Oh, Mr. Clown, you silly man. I think we just need to push the gens, you know? Sorry, homie. Pressure the gens. Yeah, we're gonna do the gens. Dude, Jane, you brought him right back over here? What? What's he? Oh, he's sitting on the hook, by the way. So that nobody could save her. Hell yeah, brother! Let's get this door open. Sorry, your sacrifice won't be in vain, friend. Jane, I need you to open the door. Jane, open the door. Jane, open the door. Yep. You open the door. You'll be safe. I'm gonna find our team. Oh, Fung, where are you? Come on, please. Come up here, Fung. Where's Fung? Fung, come upstairs. Fung, where are you? Fung, come. Come. Go, go, go. To the front door. Front door, front door. Where are you going? Fung, 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 go, go, go. Oh. I thought he was gonna follow me. No. Why'd you go upstairs? Look, her right here. Go downstairs. Down, down, down. Both of us, we all need it. Fung, take a hit. Fung needs to take a hit. Run, guys, run! Run! Oh, oh, oh! Nice, Jane! Oh my god, Jane, you fucking gangster, bro! Jane is a gangster, bro! Jane! Gangster effort. That was hilarious. I thought it was dead meat. I was really... Jane ate up that hit. Way to be there, Jane. Way to be there, Jane. Oh, you know who was there? Jane. You know who was there to save me? It was Jane. And that's how you solo queue. And that's how you solo queue. We had some Sabo value. We literally saved everybody. I healed every single teammate and unhooked them at least once. No slippery meat value, by the way. My meat was not slippery that game, and unfortunately we'll never know how slippery it really was. But no slippery meat value, unfortunately. We got some resilience value. The way he never came back to that gen is crazy too. Damn. But will my meat be slippery in this next match? Will it? Guys, I think I want to get a mic arm so I can put the mic up next to my mouth, like, you know. Do you want a low profile one? I'll send the link for mine. I love it. I don't know if I want it to be low profile. I almost don't mind if it's in the frame. But I definitely want to get a new camera this year. I want to get a new mic this year, and I want to get a new capture card. Those are all on my list this year for upgrades. Period. Yeah, that's the goal. Get some upgrades. Okay, goals. I do have some goals for stream. My VODs are all up so far, from all my streams. So like from the weekend, and I'm gonna also, I will upload this one as well. It's a YouTube commands. I'm literally just gonna, my goal is to get a turntable. Oh my god, Kevin, did you used to DJ? That's another goal of mine this year. We're also going to be we're also going to be yuck. Let's see if it comes up on Blur. Yes. No, not pin sound to stream. I want to add it. Add to Twitch channel points. Yes, you should DJ and stream. To plan a Lalo trip this year? It depends on the headliners are, to be honest. I want to start DJing so bad. Guys, I added it. I added it. This is how I feel.
If you want to live, stick with me.
This is how I feel about my sandwich. Oh, hey, speaking of DJ. Hey, thank you. It's a Chucky. Oh, Chucky. Charles E. Fromage. Oh. Over there somewhere. Oh, there you are. Guys, I have drift on my controller now. She just gets off. The Jen every once in a while now.
Have you ever had a dream that you could
Nice. I hate you. Oh! But Steve, don't you want to see my slippery meat? I have one, I promise. It's slippery. The way he hides in this grass is crazy. But Steve, my meat though. Steve, thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna just go for Jen. Oh! Ow! My whole neck was broken. Whore, I hate you. Oh! But is my meat slippery, guys? Is my meat slippery?
You're mine, shit for brains.
Am I though, Chucky? Or are you mine? Are you mine and my slippery meats? Alright, slippery meat, slippery meat. Slippery meat, please! Come on, meat, you're so slippery, meat, please! Meat, you're the slipperiest! No! Slippery meat let me down. My meat's too dry. My meat is too dry. Somebody? Anybody, please? The meat was in fact not slippery. Dwight, my hero!
Guess I'm off the hook.
That's fine. I took that hit. I have DS. I want him to come to me. I keep stunning his ass though. It's fine. DS, DS, DS. Oh!
Sayonara!
Did he just he just moied me! Cause I was on Death Hook. I had DS too. I wish he had just picked me up. He didn't have I know! He kicked my dead body and everything! Oh, why did he mori me? I had DS! He knew I had DS. He must have known.
I'm sorry.
It's cause I had dry meat, guys. I had dry meat. My meat was too dry and unfortunately it just, I didn't make it. No lube, not even spit, Kevin, not even spit. It was too dry. Get KY, Swiss Army, or Swiss Navy, Swiss Navy. Swiss Navy, Swiss Navy. BRB, I'm gonna go pee. Swiss, K-Swiss. Guys, do you remember K-Swiss? Am I in a match yet? No. It was too dry, Micah. It was too dry. Nobody tells you that you have to wet your meat. Meat jokes we finna have? I mean, what's funnier than meat, you know? Is this guy live? Let's see if we have a friend. Not a bot. Nope. This is not a person. Not even live streaming.
Okay. Let's try to stick together.
All right, where's my team? Adam. Hey, Midnight. Look at her over there. Guys, will my meat be slippery this match? Throw a snowball at him. I'm the only one doing anything. Guys, what? Guys, just a baby survivor. I'm the fuck out of that bridge. Just go check. Ooh, whiff! Look at that whiff! Holy whiff. She lost him too. Good job, Adam. He's going for hook. Yoinked off of the gen is nuts. I just grab this hook. Oh, hook. Where's the hook? Where's the hook? Oh, that was a window. That was not fun. Oh! Don't worry, guys. I have slippery meat. My meat is slippery, I promise. Not the basement. That's crazy. Ew. Alright, this gives me time. Is my meat slippery enough this time? Come on, please. Please, meat. Please. Please. The meat is just not slippery. Someone come grab me. I can hold this for sure. We need a full reset. Is she... You missed me, weirdo.
Stupid hook.
Can you stop? Girl, no, what are you doing? Stop.
I need you to say
You know what? This guy is... Like, what are you doing? Thank you. I'm gonna go get that item. A toolbox. Interesting. Nice. We can triple this one too. Nice. I'm just gonna full push this. Guys, slippery meat isn't working. Not like you're used to. Wow. No. One of us needs to get on a gen immediately. Fuck. I'm gonna just do the gen. Tolerance. I'll get on a gen. Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna start working on it. I have to get him. I don't know where Sable is. There she is. Hey, Adam. I got you, friend. We're gonna be okay. She's coming. Yep, you take that. Go, go, go. Haha. Go, go. Oh, why did you miss me? How did you miss me? Dog, ain't no way, bro. I'm sorry, Adam. I don't know why she swung at you and not me. But I cannot believe you didn't make it over that pallet. I tried. In the basement, too. Ooh. Watch this, watch this. Sable. Actually, I'm gonna go over there. Oh, this one. Do-do-do-do. We'll give it to Sable, you know, if she doesn't get found. Oh, I farmed that. She was moving too quickly for me. You got this, Sable. Get out. Ugh.
He's hiding.
All right, guys, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. My meat is slippery. I promise. I promise. My meat is slippery. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Get home safe, Kevin. And I hope I'm still alive when you get home, and you can come hang out more. Make sure you get some food. My meat is slippery. Damn it. Yes. Ooh, in and out. Love that. Love that. Oh, excuse me. Bye. Be safe. Drive safe, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Bye. Micah, my culture is not a costume. Just kidding. What do I have to do? Oh, I'm broken. Guys, look at that drift. It's so gross. Not that. Ooh, excuse me. Oh no. Oh, yeah, after that public sandwich, I'm not surprised. Ooh. Ooh.
Let's get this done.
Hey, Daryl. Legion. Aha! Not swinging at the pallet. I wanted her to hit me. Excuse me. What a weird ass killer, by the way. Weirdo! Legion's a weirdo. Everyone point and laugh. Everyone point and laugh at Legion. Haha. Dude! I need a new controller. Come on, unhook her. Please, let me finish this gen. Dog, no way. That scared the shit out of me, guys. Go away. Go. Go over there. Go over there. Go over there. You know you want to. You know you want to. Aha. Oh, you suck. You're a loser. Point and laugh. Point and laugh at Legion. She's ugly. Point and laugh. Okay, slippery meat. Slippery meat. Slippery meat. I need you now more than ever. I need you now more than ever, slippery meat. Oh. You want to watch me? Miss. vault? Why didn't I vault, bro? Why didn't I vault? Why didn't I vault? I'm at the window. Why didn't I vault? I'm at the window staring at the window, by the way. It's just staring at the window, by the way. So silly. Ew, you're mad. You're mad I called you Stinky, Legion? Are you mad I called you Stinky? Maybe because you stink. Maybe point and laugh at Legion. Point and laugh. Everyone point and laugh at Legion. She's ugly and stinky. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Point and laugh at Legion. Stinky, stinky Legion. Oh, you should change your hoodie. It stinks. Bye, Legion. I'm not gonna abandon. You want to play with real people? I'm not gonna let you not play with real people, you know? Guys, you had one job. Your job was to literally not die. Jeez. Point and laugh at the Legion. She's stinky. And then to hit me on the hook like if we're not all down is so silly. That was crazy. Someone's angry. Someone forgot to eat her Cheerios. Aw, Johnny, you should take a nap. Johnny, I think what you need is a nap. I think you need a nap. Slippery meat, so not worth it. Guys, I made her swing so many times. Just FYI. Excuse me. GG's. Excuse me. It doesn't help that I'm literally drifting. Excuse me. Oh, I shouldn't have finished that gen. Maybe I shouldn't have finished that gen. Maybe we would have survived. I have 12 blood points. Excuse me. Excuse me. Give Nodders. Luigi 2 Wilds. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Stay alive. All of you.
Oh, hey, Lori. Huntress. Oh. Oh. Whiff. Not me. Oh. Why is she throwing snowballs at me? She's already back on the hook. Aha! Stupid. Nice. Oh, just on me, just on me. Ah, whiff, bitch! Go, go, go! Nice, Lori! I'm going right back to the gen. I need 2 whiffs on this Huntress. Yeah, but I need to finish this. Nice. Just get out of there. I still hit you though. No, please. But is the meat slippery? Oh, this hook is broken. Oh. But is the meat slippery though? Yeah, walk into that car, huh? Please, please. I have DS, okay. Boo. Boo. Point and laugh, point and laugh. Point and laugh at the Huntress. I don't have any more DS. Save me. No more DS, guys. Oh, hey guys! Can you guys heal me? Thanks. You guys are the best. Oh, Luigi, it's about time. You ran her though. We all healed. We're gonna pop this gen for you. Oh, she went over that way. Luigi, I'm coming. Hi, Luigi. You're the best. Let me... You wanna heal over here? Damn. Okay, we don't have to go this far. Like, damn. We get it, you're scared. Good job, guys. I want to go into the shack and see if I can do this gen. Oh, it's already done. Well. Where are the generators? There's a generator right here. Where are the generators? Me and Lori back together again, like it's meant to be. Throw it again, bitch. Hit the gen. Ah, she don't like me. She don't like me. She don't like me. Bye, girl. It was nice knowing you. Hi, Luigi. Yes, are you feeling less scared now to be over here? Run, run, Lori, run! Shit, good try. Oh, how did she hit me? Whiff, bitch! Whiff again! Whiff again! Whiff again! Whiff again! Oh. Whiff again. And the lorry is up somehow. And the gens popped, by the way. Fuck, everyone's hurt. We need to heal. Oh, go, 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 go. Yeah, you can take that. I'm sorry, girl. You guys healed up? Where are you guys? You're not healed up. Where's Luigi? Basement. Sorry, girl. Please sit there. Please, girl, sit there. Hi. No, please. Oh, you too. Oh, you too. Oh, you're just mad, mommy. You're mad. You're mad because I outran you. You're mad because I hit you. It's okay. It's just a game. At the end of the day, you either were gonna kill us or we were gonna get out. You know, hit me. Do it. I dare you. Oh. 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 Throwing the axe. Classy. Classy. Classy killer. Very classy. Damn, these killers are butthurt. They're mad. Big mad today. Very mad today. The issue was that this Yuri didn't want to heal. The Yuri didn't want to heal. Oh, Jay Free, GG's IG. I hope that made you happy. Oh, Iron Maiden, thank God I didn't get into a locker, right? Thank God. Thank God nobody got into a locker.
What is this place?
I need to take this off. This is not who I want to be as a human being. It's not who I am inside, you know? I want to be a Flash girl. I want to blind. I want to blind the killer. Excuse me. How goes games? You know, we've had some really salty killers. And honestly, Slippery Meat is just not holding up. She's not who the girl I thought she was. And How are you, Micah? How was your day? Tell me about your day. I might end stream soon. It went well? Yes, is that so? Moved to more departments. Nice, nice. Nice, nice. That was my big yawn. I'm a little tired. Mistletoe! Guy, I have a pimple on my face and it's killing me. You did? Oh.
Okay.
Hi
Let's practice this
guys.
together.
Hi guys. I have a flashlight. They're all landscape now? Yeah, both my monitors are landscape as well. It's just better that way. Honestly, vertical is harder to use. Like, I always want to switch it back anyway. Do I go to that gen over there? I think I go to that gen over there. Ugh, girl. Sable. I want to go to this gen. Where'd he go? It's a trapper. Oh. Oh, there he is. Oh, where is he? Trapper, are you down there? He is down there. I hear him. He's just chilling under there. He DC'd. Well, thank you, Mr. Chopper. I get to keep my flashlight. Excuse me.
What's this? Some kind of prank?
Micah, did you want to play some DVD with me? Squishy, if you're still here, we can play DVD. Yay! Yes, come play with me. Mm-mm-mm. CJ, what's up? Yay, you checked in. Welcome in. How are you? How are you? Hi, hi, hi. CJ, is your meat slippery? I'm doing good, but my meat's not slippery tonight. I haven't gotten off. I got on off of hook once. It can be. Period. That's what we like to see. My meat is not slippery today. It only worked once. And the second time the Legion was mad at me. How are you? Better fix that. I know. Huh. I'm just kidding. How are you, CJ? Welcome in. Thanks for the follow. I hope to see you around. I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up, you know? Cracked. How was your day? Imagine. Be like me? Yeah. You're crazy. No, you're crazy. ASG Wizdark. I think this is the same Dwight from the last game. Claudette, I don't know what you're wearing, girl, but did you look in the mirror before you left the house? I never know when I get the same peeps. I always have names off. Oh, I don't mind having names on. I don't really like having, well, the real talk. I want to put TTV in my name, but it's too long. Anyways, but I like to know if TTVs are my games, so I can go into the chats and like chill for a little bit. Because I don't have game chat since I play on console, it's like the only way I get to like thank the team, you know? I wish we had game chat though, because I have a lot to say. Even if it was like online, like, you know, if Behavior knew when we were in matches, which they do, like they definitely track how many matches and what matches we're in. How's your Monday? We're gonna try to get some flash saves too.
I have no interest in that.
I think we're just gonna go straight back here. Is there no gen back here? Wait, I thought there was a gen back here. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's a Wraith. Hey, Zaddy. Oh. Hi. 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 No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Wow. Wow. Please. You literally stared at me. Hi. What's up, Alex? Welcome in. All right. Is my meat slippery? Slippery meat. Slippery meat. Come on. Slippery meat, please. Come on, slippery meat, please, please. We have been so unlucky today. Come on, slippery meat, please. Come on, we have been so unlucky. Ah, I did it! Yes, my meat is slippery. You wish your meat was as slippery as my meat. Not really like I can. He also wasn't getting blinded. But maybe I was just. I hear Leon. Excuse me? He's right there. Hi, Mr. Wraith. Yes, my meat is slippery. Could not connect to remote server. The bot is broken. Or the command is broken. Hi, Wolfie. Wolfie, my meat was so slippery just now. Fuck. No, 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 please. Please, please, please. Please, please. No! Please. Come on, I had slippery meat and everything. Where did Leon even go? Being slippery today, we're trying. It's not really working in our favor. Thank you, Leon. Here, heal me. Actually, I'll heal you. Oh, let me heal you.
Rusted.
Let me heal you. Wolfie, how's your Monday? Hi, Lobo. My clip command's not working. Please, Mr. Wizark. Por favor. Gracias. I'm gonna just go for the gen. Why has no one worked on a gen? Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, how have we not finished the gen? Hi, Alex. I've been doing so good. Any more chats after saying load up? What? Refresh, refresh. Alex, I've been doing so good. Happy New Year, friend. Welcome in, bro. How are you? How's the fam? How are you doing after your health scare? I hope everything's going well since then. After the Dwight. What are you doing? What are you doing? Freeze! I'm gonna drop this. Oh, I heard him. I'll just go after the gen, I guess. Twitch just hates me. Micah, somehow my clip command isn't working. I don't know why. You think you can help me fix that? Just chilling, taking it day by day. Well, happy New Year, and I'm happy you're here, friend. It's been a while. Catch me up, catch me up. Yeah, go find the Leon. Oh no, he's right there. No, please. Come on, Mr. Wraith. I thought we were friends. Well. Oh. Okay, that was weird. That's suspicious. You don't want to hook me? Why don't you want to hook me, huh? I have something on my face? Do I smell bad? Why'd you put me down? What you trying to say, Wraith? I'm not good enough to be hooked? I guess he doesn't want to kill me just yet. Did you have a rainy week? We had some snow. Bro, we had some snow last week, but it's warm enough that all the snow is gone, which is great because all of December was very, very icy. I guess he wants to do this first. Come on, come. No, stop walking away. Guys, it's okay. The Wraith is not that scary. Oh my god. Stop walking. Dude, these guys. Come back. Stop running. I'm trying to heal you. Dog.
I need you to stop moving.
Oh my god, we would have been healed already. Get out of there. Stop being weird.
I got
Dude,
you.
that Dwight needs to go. Everyone, get the Dwight. Get him. Yeah, get out of here. Just go find your own help. Did they finish that gen back there? Let's find out. Well, this one still isn't. They did finish that gen. Okay, I'm gonna do this one then. Is this pallet still up? No. Oh, he's using his potential energy. There's no pallets over here, are there? No! Now you'll hook me? After all this time? He didn't even do anything. He went and he chased the other three, and then he came and hooked me anyway. The Dwight still hasn't healed, by the way. I spent all that time chasing after Dwight. Shaking my head. Shaking my head. Shaking my head, shaking my head.
The last thing I remember, the cemetery and the fog.
Micah, are you loaded in? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Let's play regular matches, low key. Hold on, I'm gonna leave and I'll invite you again.
How do we get out of here?
Let's go. Will we get into a match? Is the question. Excuse me. I'm gonna grab my water. Just as I say that, the game loads. BRB. BR motherfucking B. BR to the motherfucking B. Bye. Got my water. If I had meat, yes, my meat would be slippery. I bet it would, Waffles. I bet it would. Hi, Waffles. Dude, my meat's not slippery today. We're struggling. We haven't had such luck. How are you, Waffles? Yuck! Micah's here. Just kidding. Waffles, I was so happy to hang out a little earlier. The Dark Lord. Okay, Micah is Dracula. Wow. You have pretty teeth, you know? I grew them myself. Thank you, friend.
I have no interest.
Imagine if my teeth were busted and I'm like all up close and personal. Oh, okay, so he's switched over to bat. Oh look, I found a gen. I made a mistake. Sir, zoom out. That would be crazy if you told me to zoom out. That would be crazy. That'd be insanity. How's your day going? Day was good. I went to work. I was at the office for a little bit today, and then I only paid for parking till 2, so I just left after at 2, and I finished work at home. All my plants were dead. They looked horrible, so I had to take care of them. Back at the office. I'll probably try to go again tomorrow. How about you, Waffles? How were your Rivals games earlier? How's your weekend? Did you work? Did you eat? What did you eat? I'm not here. I'm not here. Oh, the truck saved me. Lovely truck. Load up. No, please, Dracula, please! Woo! Saved by the truck yet again. He gave up on me? Are you giving up, sir? Hi. It was nice having fun. That was fun. That was a good loop. That was a good loop. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. That was so much fun. I'll be back in the shower and get up. That's good. I'm starving. I slept all day after streamed. Oh no. Well, yes. Go get food. Food makes everyone feel better. And go shower, Stinky. You got this. I believe in you. Does he leave y'all to come back over here? He's coming back over here. He didn't come back. Run, Michael, run! This way. Alright, got the gen done. You don't know where I'm at. Excuse me. Oh, this way. No, Micah, run! Oh, he's a dog now. No, Micah! Micah, you genius! How did that happen? Micah, run! The flash save. Micah, if you can get to the basement of the house in the corner, I can heal you. And we can finish this gen together. Oh, you're finishing the gen? Good boy. Wow, Micah, you're a pro. Ah, Micah! Come here. My controller's dying. He looked in one locker and gave up. Please! 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 Come on. Come on. Guys. Get the hook, get the hook! All right, Justin, heading out. Oh my God, thank you for being here, Squishy. Catch you next time. Squishy, we should totally play it next time you're on. Oh, he's right up there. Micah, we're at the door. Healer, healer. Micah, healer, healer. She's in the shack. She's right behind you. Healer, healer. Oh. Come here, Michaela. Good try, Laura. Okay, let's go. Go, go, go. He's coming. Back to the door, Micah. Back to the door. Oh, 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 oh. Run, Micah, run! Don't die, please don't die. Did you get out? You didn't get out. Oh, oh, I thought you didn't get out. Oh, I almost got scared. What the hell was that at the end? GG. Good try, Micah. Imagine. Did you get knocked though? Be honest. Let me get in this chat with you.
Something isn't right.
Hello.
You did so good. Saying trash couldn't hook. Oh,
Look, I was at the top of the leaderboard. You're
not
some
the
leader, by
person
way.
saying. Oh, I am. Trash couldn't hook anyone. Who said that?
The Dr. Fate person.
Yeah. Oh, he was bad mouthing the killer.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
I was like, he was trying his best.
he was doing so good. I did get nervous. I did loop his ass for a hot minute.
I was
but he had to
watching.
leave me alone.
He never
It was
hooked
me
me.
and-
He did get me once.
He did, and then she saved you, didn't she? Michaela. She got the flashlight save on you? For you?
She did. She did. Mm-hmm.
Because you were being carried for a minute. And then I was like, no, Micah. And then I just saw you with scratches, and I was like, what is happening out there?
Yep.
Me stuck. I was trying to do that gen for 100 years. I worked on 2 gens total that game. I didn't do shit.
I think I did one with Michaela, and then I finished one with Laura.
Yeah, poor Laura. I don't even know how
Started
she
with
died.
I know I was gonna go run and get her, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's her death. Sorry, girl. And then I turned back around.
I know. I could have just let you open the door, and I maybe could have saved her. Maybe. 5 more. One more. One more unbroken emblem. Alright, maybe I can pee now. Burb. Migs, what's up, Michael? Welcome in. Thank you for checking in. Tell me how your day went. I am going to use the bathroom, and I'll read it when I get back. Shit. Shit. Oh, we're already in a match. Migs. Day went fine. Working on hockey graphics right now. Thought I'd listen and work at the same time. Okay, period. Mike, is your meat slippery? I'm sure hoping mine is. Micah, is your meat slippery?
I don't think so.
Damn. He said, no, don't count me out. My meat dry.
Not
This meat dry.
It's the Xenomorph.
Oh, lovely.
Once you love playing with me, then I can tell you who all the killers are.
Yeah, but don't play with me. Don't play too much without me because then you're not gonna get those hints.
I'm surprised I'm still getting them for some of them.
All right. Oh, we're all backs to each other. Micah. Hey. Let's go find a gen. Oh, up here, up in that house over here. I'm gonna put this turret down.
Okay.
So did you have the day off today, or did you get out early today?
I got off early. I got off at 5.
Ooh, nice.
Here. Tomorrow I go in at 2 and I get off at 9.
That's not bad. Getting in at 2 though, you'll have the morning to do other things.
Lord knows I need to do laundry.
Micah, get on this side of the generator.
That side?
Yep.
Oh, you're right, because he has to come through the door, huh? Wait, why did it stop?
He must have an add-on or something. Oh, he's down there.
Oh, this is almost done. This is almost done. Don't come up here.
He's already up here. Hold it. Run, Michael, run! He knows!
I was just gonna finish it. He was looking at me. I think he was gonna be nice.
No, he didn't even know you were there, low-key. I think he just stopped. Oh, he just went after Sable completely.
I'll let you finish that one. I'm turning the one down here.
Yeah, I have eyes on him. Yeah, I see you, don't worry. One margarita, I'ma put it in my mouth.
Oh.
Oh. Wait, you don't do that after one? Just me?
Oh, fuck.
I just... Don't worry, Michael, we won't talk about it.
Look. I mean, after one margarita, I opened my legs. I don't know if I put it in my mouth.
I put that shit in my mouth sober. Just kidding.
I once made that my Tinder anthem. I like making random songs in my Tinder anthem. I think it's funny. Oh, he's over there.
Yep, he's chasing the other dude. Micah, can you go after... I'll go for Hook.
Okay.
You should be fine with the turret there.
Sounds good.
Oh, fuck. Ada, where are you going, girl? Like, I'm trying to get the hook. Oh my god. You know what? You can
It's
get
fine. I'll
knocked.
pick her up
It's fine.
whenever,
Ada, I'm not gonna lie. You saw me going that way. Why would you follow me? I'm trying to get the hook. That doesn't make a lick of sense.
finish that
Friends
one.
till the end again. By the way.
Do you want to grab that one since you're closer?
Oh! No, I was exposed, so he was definitely gonna hit me. Excuse
For
me.
her.
It's okay, I have slippery meat. Go for the hook first, yeah.
Yeah.
Go for the other hook first. Slippery meat. Slippery meat. Slippery meat. First try, bitch! First fucking try, bitch!
I'm gonna hunt you and you gotta run.
Unhook him, unhook him!
Oh. Come on now. Okay, don't follow me till I hear you. Alright.
He lost me. You got me mistaken for your mama, ho. Oh, Zeno, I'm up here. You don't even know where I'm at. Hee hee. Come up here. You know you want to. Come up. Let's play. Micah, I'm coming.
Okay. I just put a turret down.
He's after me, by the way. Ooh! Can I get a whiff?
I think Hemdro might finish this before me and then
I'm dead! I'm dead! Oh, I'm not dead. He's mad at me, though. Oh, he's mad at me.
Oh, y'all are right there.
Excuse me, yep. He's coming for you, Micah. I'm gonna try to crawl to a teammate. It's okay, that was our last gen. That was our last gen. Period. Come, Ada, please. I'm so sorry about before. No. Oh, he's coming, but he's coming for me. It's fine, it's fine. Good, Micah, good. He's coming. He's right behind you, Micah.
Oh, fuck.
It's okay.
Leave me. You are so fake.
I couldn't grab you, Micah.
You're good. She got me. She got me.
I don't know where the door is.
Yeah, go that way. Oh, he's after both of us.
Oh, I'm with Ada. Ada, hey! Hey, girl, hey! Hey! Yes, yes! Go, go, go! Go, 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 go! Go, 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 go! Go, go, go! They're just teabagging her and blocking me, by the way! That was fun. GG's! What a W team! We kinda ate that! We ate her up. Poor Xenomorph. The Xenomorph didn't stand a chance. Damn. TTV? Let's see. Are they live? Probably not. Not even, doesn't even have an account on Twitch. L.
Wow, okay. Sable's prestige 4.
Okay, Sable. Excuse me.
Even in her deepest despair, Sable liked to dress with flair. I'm good.
Who said that?
It was an award, a reward that I got
Oh,
for getting prestige 4.
fall from a great height. Oh, not a killer challenge. Should I put in salty lips? Salty lips. Salty lips. Salty lips. It increases our luck, so maybe I'll get my slippery meat off this time too. I can't believe I hit it on one.
Nice.
Also, I had like 4 whiffs that game. Let's see. Were you able to see if why that command was broken?
Oh, no.
Oh, damn.
Like it doesn't like let you clip or what?
CJ tried to before and it said dedicated server not responding or something like that. Oh, it worked now. Excuse me.
Oh, interesting.
It worked now. I don't know what happened before.
Interesting.
Also, the check-in wasn't the timer the counter reset for some people. At least I thought so. Like you definitely used it already once before, and it said you checked in for the first time today.
Oh, true. I didn't
And I don't know. I don't even know why that did that. Dreadhead.
Oh my god, Ronnie!
Hi, Ronnie. See, Ronnie checked in, and it said once. It said once. How's it going, Ronnie?
I was like, why can't I claim anything? I don't have any more blood points.
How's it going,
Dang.
Fran? How was your day? Oh.
Once? Well, that's a lie. Do you use Mix It Up for your daily video?
I was using StreamerBot. Should I use something else? That's a lie. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why it reset. It reset for Omar too.
Ew, not her.
Who?
The Hound Master.
Oh,
I think I've only gone against her once.
we had a game against her yesterday. I am tired. Games have been a lot of fun. I did yesterday. I don't think we played yesterday, you and I.
Was it not yesterday?
Weren't you at work? You were at work yesterday. While I was streaming.
Oh, that's right.
We played Saturday, I think.
Mm.
But yesterday I had a Houndmaster game and I was solo queuing. It was fun. Hey team!
Let's get this done.
Oh, poor Laura.
Oh. She's right over there. Games have been really good today. I'm also very tired. How was your day, Ronnie? What were you up to today? Did you stream at all? Did you stream today? Team break ankles. Yes, we're gonna try. Ronnie, I'm trying to see how slippery my meat is today. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of been a wash. Like yesterday, last game was the first game.
Oh, why did it do that?
She broke the gen.
I hope she steps on a Lego.
She's chasing David. David!
Oh my god, the dog just ran right in front of me. Oh, she's right here. She saw me. She saw me.
Run, Micah, run! Frank the tank.
Oh. The dog still got me.
Where are you? Are you in this house?
I'm running. I'm to the left of that gen that just finished. Oh, the dog got me again. Ew. You are so fake.
Oh, she didn't even hook you there. Why?
I don't know.
Well, I guess. No stream today. Why didn't she hook you there like immediately? So strange. No! I was one check away, bro. Tomorrow's my day. Today was helping kiddo with homework day and deep clean. Oh. Alright, slippery meat. Slippery meat with salty lips. Please. Please.
Tell me again.
It didn't work. It didn't work. Here, heal me right here.
This lady is.
She missed. It's fine. I have DS. I have DS. I have DS. I have DS. Pick me up. Pick me up. She wants to tunnel so bad. No, I need her to pick me up. Please pick me up. 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 Please. Please, please, please pick me up. Pick me up. Oh my god, thank goodness. Bitch. Hate you. Like, why can't we... my controller died!
Not that.
My controller died! Guys, my controller died!
Only done one gen.
Mike, I'm resible. No, she hates me. She's a tunneler. GG. My controller died on the DS! Alright guys, that's the end of stream. GG's. Good night. Just kidding. That was crazy. I can't believe that just happened to me. No slippery meat and my controller dies.
I need them to do something. Goddamn.
I know, they're Frank the Tank was doing stuff, but
Frank the Tank?
David. You're chilling, you're chilling. Well, there's no generators here. You have to go to the other side. These two are done.
Why is this map bigger than I thought it was?
Right over there where you got hooked is a gen, and there's your mirror. In order for slippery meat to work, you need to look at the cheeks from the bottom up. One cheek, then the other. And while they're in your face. Oh, you're right. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. Now Frank the Tank. He just ripped out of a locker or something. Oh my god, you screamed. The scream you scrumped.
Can she see me?
Yes, she absolutely can see you. She didn't see you, Micah. She didn't see you. I lied. Dodge it. Yes! Micah, you're better. You're better, Micah.
This is so scary.
Run, Micah, run! Don't let him catch you. Nice. Go.
Fuck. Goddamn.
No! Clinically proven. Not nodding at you. Ew. Nasty Houndmaster. She hates us. I guess. She said no meat for you, no DSA for you. She said, by the way, here's my dog. He's gonna eat you.
What's going on here?
Excuse me. Okay, this is in this game, Ronnie. I'm gonna make sure to look at the cheeks while my meat is trying to be slippery. While I'm slipperying the meat, I'm gonna stare at my cheeks. We're gonna hope for the best.
Watch the one time our queue time doesn't take long.
It's time for meat. Yeah, owie is right, Migs. Right, then left. The lowest angle you can get. Okay. Honestly, maybe we need to switch skins, because, I mean, Aurella's butt isn't really showing in these. Maybe in here, in these shorts. Bloody shorts. We can also go Gabe. Maybe we have to play as Gabe. Maybe his meat is the meat that's slippery.
In a place like this.
We're gonna put a t-shirt on him so that we can get maximize booty. Look at this. Look at the booty. Damn, Gabriel got that art too. Damn. Oh, there you go. We're maximizing booty cheek. Does he have his meat on? He has a slippery meat. We're gonna do. There you go. Gabe got it. Poor Renato has none. Yeah, Renato's a little twink. He has no booty. Zero booty on the Renato, by the way. Gabe has it. Gabe has it. I feel it in my bones. This might be last game. If it's a good one. If it's a good one. Excuse me. There we go. You got a little surfboard, literally.
Oh my gosh, I was just telling my sister I haven't gone against this guy yet.
Who?
The ghoul.
Oh, Kaneki.
Yeah.
Kaneki.
What do I need to know about this guy?
He has a lunge move where he can bite onto you and lunge on you and suck your blood, and then you get bitten.
Oh, nice.
And you can see the bite mark on your body before he connects, which is helpful for like dodging. Gideon Meat Plant. I was yesterday years old when I realized people don't like this map.
I don't care. Is that his music?
Yeah.
I don't like this map either.
What?
I've only had mean killers on this map.
I love this map. Hey. Oh, wait. Okay. Left cheek, right cheek, best under angle. Okay, got it. I gotta just practice the camera, you know? You know, for the slippery meat to work anyway. Girl, if you don't. Guys, he's a screamer. Micah, go downstairs when he gets here.
Oh! He got me.
Oh, he's coming back. He's coming after me. Ah, he bit me! You hoe! I hate you.
Spaz is hitting me. God.
I'm so bad at aiming. Por favor, pero por favor. Hit me! I'm sorry, I got scared. I don't know how to loop in the meat freezer. It's okay. Slippery meat. Left cheek, right cheek. What did Rami say? Ready? Left cheek, right cheek, under angle, like here, like crotch. Let's look at the slippery meat. Face on. Oh my God, Ronnie, wait! Wait, you're broken. Wait, Ronnie, that's broken. Ronnie, that's broken. Ronnie, that's broken. Ronnie, that's broken.
Oh, I see him.
I have DS. He can try to chase me if he wants.
Oh, he's coming for me.
Oh my God, Ronnie, ain't no way. Ronnie,
Oh,
you have no
frick.
idea how happy that made
He
me.
hit me.
I lost my DS.
Oh, I'm
No,
bringing-
Micah.
Haha.
Come here, blue hair girl.
How do I get rid of this bite?
You don't.
Oh, he
You have
got
to.
me.
You have to get out of chase. I cannot believe slippery meat worked on try number 1. We looked at that slippery meat in the face and we said, "You're gonna work today." All right, I'm gonna try to work on this gen. Or not. I'm gonna get you. Oh, or not. Oh my God, and I'm already broken, bro. It's fine. Wait, why am I getting stuck? Why am I getting stuck? Hella clip that shit too. Why am I getting stuck? I'm too excited about the slippery meat, guys. I was too excited about it. It wasn't even worth it, guys. It wasn't even worth it. I usually play as Squirtles. Oh my God, yes. Maybe with guys it needs to be big old dick. It's okay. I can loop him. I can like start playing him with normal.
Oh, what line? What the frick are these stairs?
Yeah, Micah, just work on Jen.
Yeah. The way we've only gotten one done.
I'm healing our teammate. Job. Fung, run, Fung. Good try. Girl, I'm already standing here. Yes, exactly. Maybe it just needs to be the crotch and booty.
He's following my trail.
Guys, I'm scared.
Oh my god, he almost saw me. I'm going
Is
for
he
a break.
downstairs or am I up?
No,
Is he
he's
upstairs?
now.
He's gonna
Bitch.
come right.
I thought these people never want to follow me so I can heal them. Where did she go?
The killer is above me. Looking for where I went.
I was looking for the girl I unhooked because I was gonna heal her. Oh, I see you.
I went back up.
He's right behind you. He's right behind you.
Oh, you're scary.
Oh, did she just get hit?
No, she just screamed because she's not far.
Oh!
He was looking for me. He found you. Micah! Pick you up, pick you up, pick,
It was gonna
pick,
be
pick,
nice.
pick.
I always hope that these people are gonna be nice.
Try again, bitch.
He's going towards them.
Yeah. He has no idea I came to save you. Just showed Omar the clip. Period. It's all about the bulge.
Oh my god, he's right there.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Fuck. He hates me.
Where'd he take her? Take her down?
Downstairs. They're looking for us.
Oh, he's coming back down. He's coming back down, but I'm gonna get her.
Get her, get
Take
her.
it, girl. Take it,
Oh,
take it, take it, take it.
Wait, she's a bot? Since when? Why is she a bot?
Oh god damn.
When did she DC?
I didn't even notice.
Just show me the slippery meat hack. I know. Who knew? Who knew I had to look at the slippery meat for it to work? How are you, Omar? This is our last game. Welcome in. Oh God, Micah. This is not going very well, huh?
Badly to be nice.
I know, and sometimes you just can't be nice. Puta, 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 bad boy!
I have the bot healing me.
Bye guys, I'm leaving! I fucked up. Well, get the bot. Take the bot. Take the bot.
Oh,
Exposed
fuck.
again, bro. I can't. We got fucked here. Like, take the bot before you take me, you know? Shit. Pick her up, pick her up, pick her up. I'm going to her too. Quick, 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 quick. Go, 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 go. Oh! I know he's tired of it. Look, if you're gonna make me lose, I'm gonna fight for my life. I'm gonna throw this flashlight at you. If it's the last thing I do. No!
I'm dead.
He's tired of knocking you, dude.
He probably is.
I'm gonna try to get to you now. He's gonna go right the fuck back upstairs because he thinks that's where I'm hiding. Come on, go upstairs, go upstairs. I knew it. What did I say? Not the Meg leaving us.
Dude, damn. We just have 3 gens. I fear we don't make it out. How about I just let him get me and then you find Hatch?
No, you find Hatch. Oh, he wanted to mori me. He wanted to mori me. Oh, why can't you do it? Is my add quotes command not working either? Wait, Micah, you were adding quotes.
It's actually
Is it be-
quote space add.
Oh, quote first,
quote
then
is
add.
Streamlabs.
Quote, exclamation point, quote, add. I heard fleshlight. That too. I'll throw this fleshlight at you if it's the last thing I do. Guys, the slippery me worked. You know, and maybe it was just meant to be that we were just going to die. Mike, are you still in there?
I am.
It's
Right.
space ad? Are you sure it's space ad?
Exclamation point, yeah.
Ronnie's like, I'm not doing
Wait,
this again.
I thought you made. No, you did it for green. You have to make Ronnie a mod. To
Only mods can do it?
Yeah.
No, he's slugging the Meg.
Jessica!
And Meg has 0 hooks. And she left the game, by the way. I know you did it the other day. I don't know why. Oh, look, it counted this time. You can't go through that door, no.
I was looking at your stream, not the.
Oh. No, don't work on that. Don't.
Don't worry.
Go heal the bot. Heal the bot, and then run away. And then hide.
Is he camping her?
No, just heal the bot and let the bot run away. Don't drop the pallet. Please be careful.
You said drop the pallet.
Don't drop the pallet. You said drop the pallet. Don't be silly.
Where's he at? Why haven't I?
He's looking for you again. He's waiting. Yeah, he's downstairs just waiting probably. There you go. Excuse me. She's on a gen. I'm silly. I'm so done. Hide in there. Hide in there. Hide in locker.
Isn't he gonna hear it?
Nope. Just be very quiet. Hi, Burbish. My first stream. Make sure you check in. Make sure you check in, Burbish. Look, going after the bot. Look at his greedy ass. Yeah, go hit that Meg. Welcome in, Burbish. This is our last game. I'm coaching. He doesn't even know.
There he goes. There he goes.
He does not even know where you are. He let the bot alone because he's looking for you.
Does he know it's a bot?
Yeah, it would say bot on his screen too. Oh man, I'm late. No, you're just on time, Burbish.
I'm not her working on the gen.
Go. How long to the
Victory
She's on that gen in that room. Go in that room. She'll let you heal her. Look, she's gonna let you heal her too. Hide. That was so... You didn't need to do all that.
You just said hide. Oh.
Yeah,
she's
but you
right
didn't need
there.
to run. I know. Like,
How did I not see? Oh.
it's okay. Let him kill the bot. Let him kill the bot. Let's see. Let's see if he'll milk the bot. Milk the bot. Knock her. Knock her, please. You can. Go, go. Don't rush. Don't rush, yeah. Because when you hit the sprint button and you enter a locker, he'll hit you. He'll hear you. Can be so stressful. It's honestly more stressful than it's Micah. Everyone, exclamation point Micah to understand my pain.
That is crazy. Wait, what is that one?
He's still chasing the bot. It's you in the Fortnite clip. And I'm going, get him, they're shooting at you. And it was me. I was shooting at you. Literally, not everybody in the chat. Okay, don't pop it though. Don't pop it. Go back, go back. Go back in the locker.
Oh my god, I'm scared.
Don't be scared. We're doing fine.
Aren't we still have, I still have 3 gens.
Yeah, but he's gonna kill you or the bot eventually. Okay, let the bot bleed out, low-key. Don't work on the gen. Let the bot...
Scream in the locker.
Oh, that's true. He's coming back. Isn't that the best video? That's how long Micah and I have known each other, literally. That's from my... Walk downstairs, Micah. Walk downstairs.
Am I not already downstairs? Oh.
No, you're upstairs. Look, you can even get the Meg. There's a staircase right there, right in front of you.
He's gonna come up it.
Imagine. He's on it. Wait, crouch, crouch. Peer over, peer around the corner. Make sure he's not there. Okay, go in the fridge. Go heal that bot. Go heal him.
Should I vault?
Don't vault. Well, slow. You can slow vault and it'll be fine. LOL. Micah. Oh, Hatch is there. Okay, period. Hatch is gonna be here when she dies.
How do we know?
Ronnie's saying it. Look, Ronnie is psychic. She's psycho. She's a fortune teller. She's a future teller. Future. Hide in that locker right there. When you hear heartbeat, it's inside the freezer.
Oh, I see.
Just hide in there. Don't.
Oh my god, there he is.
I don't know where, just downstairs. Oh, Hatch is just gonna spawn downstairs. Never did the bot go and finish the gen. I'm sick. This killer won't just kill the bot. He won't just bait you out. He's chasing the bot again. Oh my god. Don't you get tired, Kaneki?
The bot still has no fucking hook.
This is so funny that he has not hooked the bot. Look, he got off the bot. The bot is healing again. You have to lap this or something because then crows will come. Like, I would make a lap, run or something, run around. Locker, hide in the locker.
Oh my god, the crows are right there.
Okay, well, they congregate around your head if you're AFK. And then hopefully the bot bleeds out upstairs. Yeah, but he's not even trying to knock the bot anymore. He's trying to bait the... Oh, the bot might come to you. Oh, not the bot working on another gen! This game is so unserious. Try to get close to the bot. Oh, no. He's coming. Look for locker. Good. That wasn't you who screamed, right? Oh, period. Let the bot bleed out. Where is he? Where is she? Above you. Oh, you're blind because you're in the locker. She's right above you. But let her bleed out. She's literally about to die.
There she is.
Oh my god. Hopefully the bot bleeds out. Literally the bot is so close to death. I need you to find Hatch. Okay, Micah? Yeah, walk around, because when the bot bleeds out. Okay. Oh, she moried him. Oh, no, she died. Okay, go, run, sprint. Oh my god, found the fucking Hatch. Micah.
Wait, he found it? So I
Yeah,
have to
he
open the
closed
door?
it. Yeah. It's okay.
Okay, it's
Crouch.
downstairs, huh?
No, no,
Or
upstairs.
is it
Yeah,
upstairs?
right there, right there. You're gonna have to go through that. Okay, you go, go, go. If I was the killer, I would be dying right now. Like, would you? Because this killer really didn't want to let the bot die. Right, to your right, to your right.
Please let me out.
Nope. Here we go.
Ah! Don't be fake. Let me open the door.
LOL. Grabbed you right the fuck off. GG. Oh, he wants to kill you. GG's Kaneki. Hi, CJ. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here today, CJ. What if Micah finds the key? I know. Next time we'll coach him to get the key. I know. The only door to
Can
see.
you do that? Wait, what do you mean open door to see? What does that mean?
I don't know, Burbish. I don't know what that means. She said, never mind though. Killer's a meanie. Killer, Killer needed to win, and and that's okay. I'm not gonna lie. 2 of her teammates DC'd for whatever reason. I think if we had 2 teammates, we would have been okay. But like, if that Meg wasn't a bot, you guys might have gotten out. When you open the door, you see, to see the leave it, the lights won't come on, then the killer checks it. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. The letter C and the word escape. Oh, when you get to the letter C, it still doesn't cause a light. I love that. 2 DCs and the slipperiest of meats. Literally, my meat was so slippery. Oh, I don't even want to play again. GG's. Thanks for playing, Micah.
Yes, thanks for the game.
Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right, y'all. That was a lot of fun. Who are we gonna raid today? Guys, we're gonna be live again on Friday. My birthday is in 7 days, guys. 7 days. My birthday on stream. 7 days. I'm so excited. Who are we gonna raid? No, thank you for being here, guys. Everyone check in if you haven't already before stream's over. I think we're gonna raid out to Jomar, I guess. Maybe no one. I don't have anybody to raid today. Maybe we won't raid. Yes, I'm glad you're here. Justin is live. Justin who? I'm Justin.
I love you.
Happy early birthday. My name's Justin and I'm live, Ronnie. What do you mean? Clackies. Justin, the slippery meat needs to be a TikTok. I know. I need to make it a TikTok. Thank you, Micah. Thanks for hanging out. I think I'm not gonna raid tonight, but also if you haven't already, for anybody who missed the rest of stream, it'll be up on my YouTube channel. Everything's gonna get directly uploaded to YouTube. I want to have a chronicle of my streams, so then I'm gonna split them up by game so that people can just watch the game that they want to see. Yes, I've been